Lift your voice and sing with me. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum.
Welcome to New Hampshire Politics. Today I'm chatting with a candidate for Senate. Welcome to the show.
Hello, New Hampshire. My name is Nelly Coyote, and I'm running here in New Hampshire to be your senator in Washington, D.C.
You are a witch. Do you think you should be running for office?
Well, we have a clown running for president, so why shouldn't a witch run for the Senate?
Well, it all seems a little strange to me, but I guess stranger things have happened this year. But do you have a platform? What do you stand for?
Platform? I have something better than a platform. I have watched the politicians in Washington, D.C., and I have learned the partisan shuffle.
Partisan shuffle? I never heard of that before. Just what is it?
Well, let me show you. The idea is to make people believe that you're moderate or bipartisan on the issues. So you take a step to the left, but then you quickly move 2 steps to the right and vote completely down the conservative Republican agenda on all issues. It's very effective because most people, they just listen to what you say and they don't bother to look at your voting record. Of course, it doesn't work so well if you tell an outright lie, like claiming that you led a bipartisan group that to reopen the government when, in fact, you were part of the group that closed it down in the first place, voting 5 times in 2013 to shut it down. But if you master the partisan shuffle, you can get away with it every time.
Can you give me an example of how it works?
Well, let's say that you want to convince people that you're an advocate for women's rights. That's very important because you need the women's vote. So you do something that's a benefit for women, like give them increased access to mammograms. But then you vote against practically every other thing that would benefit women. For instance, putting teeth into the legislation that would mandate equal pay for equal work, or that would require employers to include contraceptive coverage in their health insurance programs. Or how about defunding Planned Parenthood and denying a lot of poor women access to health care? And let's not forget supporting those who want to overturn Roe v. Wade and make abortion illegal again. Let's take another issue. Say you want to get the student vote, and you know that they're very interested in climate change and environmental issues. So you say that you believe in climate change and you care about the environment, but then you vote against every measure that would address the problem. For instance, prioritizing green energy, or permitting the EPA to regulate greenhouse emissions, strengthening the guidelines for the Clean Water Act, and of course the commuter rail project. After all, it wouldn't be wise to do anything to alienate the oil industry. The Koch brothers, for instance, get big when it comes to campaigns. Of course, you don't mention that you only got a 23% score on environmental issues from the League of Conservation Voters, where those left-wing radicals know about these issues anyway. Of course, there's always the middle class issue. Everyone always talks about the middle class and how we should support them and address the issues that allow 1% of the population to control 99% of the wealth in this country. So you make a big deal about how you're just a regular guy wearing a baseball cap and going to supermarkets, talking to all the people, just a regular guy. But when you get back to your office, you take off the cap and cozy up to the fat cats, fighting efforts to increase the minimum wage and grant equal pay to women, or making fat cats pay a fair share of taxes, or measures that would overturn Citizens United and take the fat cats' influence out of politics. Look, people for the most part are only influenced by the image you project, and seldom really look at your voting record. So if you master the partisan shuffle, you can get away with practically anything. See how it works?
I think I get it. You sure can do the partisan shuffle. It's all very impressive. But do you have any actual stances on the issues? For instance, what is your stance on increasing background checks for gun purchases?
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm against it. Crazy people have rights too, you know. I know we all feel sorry when we see the images of dozens of children mowed down by someone with a rifle, but is that any reason to deprive someone of his constitutional right to bear arms? Besides which, if you vote in favor of that measure, you lose your A rating from the NRA, and you need that to get campaign contributions. Of course, you have to cover yourself politically. So while you don't vote for a measure that has teeth in it to curb the problem, you vote in favor of a watered-down measure that was proposed by the NRA. That way you can have your cake and eat it too. Smart, huh?
Well, what about economic issues? Are you in favor of raising any taxes?
Of course not, especially not on the wealthy. If you raise taxes on the wealthy, they may not have as much to contribute to your campaign. We need more billionaires like the Koch brothers, not fewer. And we could balance the budget by cutting spending. For instance, we could cut Pell Grants to students. Just think of all the money that the government would save. And that's why I'm against allowing students to refinance their loans at a lower interest rate. Just think of all the money that the government would lose.
How about combating the opioid crisis?
Well, I know one thing that I wouldn't do, and that is support the extension of Medicaid. That would be a tacit approval of the Affordable Care Act, which I want to get rid of completely.
Even though it would mean that 50,000 people in the state would lose their medical coverage?
Well, they didn't have medical coverage before. They can put up with it again. In any event, they can go to the emergency rooms in their local hospital. I mean, car accident victims will just have to wait their turn.
I see. Well, what is your position on the other candidates? Do you support the Republican nominee for president?
Wait a second.
Miss Coyote, what are you doing?
I'm testing the political winds to see which way the political winds are blowing. You need to do that in order to know whether you should support or denounce a candidate for office, especially one who's come out with some silly remarks that turn off a lot of people. You'd be surprised at how often that happens.
Well, Miss Coyote, it's been very interesting talking to you today. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the voters?
Yes, I want you to all vote for me in this election. And if you do, I promise you will get the kind of government you deserve.
Well, thank you for being on my show, Miss Coyote. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.
If you want your soul set free, lift your voice and sing with me. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum. Oh, if the devil grabs your hand, here's one thing that he can't stand. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum.